Abiy very mad by choice of Somalia's new PM appointed on June 15 by Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud. Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre is a new thorn in the side of his Ethiopian counterpart. Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, right, appointed Hamza Abdi Barre as Prime Minister on June 15. When the appointment of the new Somali Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre was announced on June 15, his Ethiopian counterpart Abiy Ahmed had every reason to be unhappy. This member of the Ogaden clan, Mohammed Zuber/Rear Abdil, is close to the president of the Somali state. Of Jubaland Ahmed Mohammed Islam, known as Madobi, also an Ogaden, Mohammed Zuber/Rear Abdil. However, for several years, Jubaland has become the refuge for many Ethiopian Somali opponents belonging to the same subclan as Madobi and Barre. At the forefront of these militants are the supporters of the former, 2010 to 2018, President of the Somali Regional State, SRS, Abdi Muhammad Omar. aka Abdi Iley, also an Ogaden, Mohammed Zuber/Rear Abdil. The latter is a longtime ally of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, against which the federal government has been battling since November 2020. Only a few months after Abiy came to power in Addis Ababa in 2018, Abdi Iley was arrested and imprisoned. Many of his supporters fled to neighboring Somalia. Euphoria in the ONLF. In 2018, Abdi Iley's fall from grace consecrated the unbanning of the Ogaden National Liberation Front, ONLF, an Ethiopian opposition movement born in 1984 and prohibited after 1994 under the TPLF, 1991 to 2018. For decades, the ONLF has also used the Jubaland region as a rear base of operations. The announcement of Barre's appointment, the first Ogaden to hold the post of Prime Minister in Mogadishu, caused euphoria in the ranks of the group. On June 20, its president, Abdurrahman Mohammed Sheikh Mahdi, another Ogaden, Mohammed Zuber/Rear Abdil, met the new head of the Somali government in Mogadishu. ONLF leader Abdirahman Mahdi has since June 8 been staying in the Somali capital, where the next day, he and other members of the movement attended the inauguration of the new Somali president, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud. The current president of the SRS, Mustafe Mohammed Omar, aka Cagjar, an ally of Abiy's, does not share this enthusiasm. Indeed, despite the rehabilitation of the ONLF, new tensions emerged in 2020 between its leaders and Omar, whom they accuse of carrying out arbitrary arrests. As a sign of Abiy's annoyance, on June 20, Omar banned the ONLF from organizing a party in Jijjiga, the capital of the SRS, to celebrate Barre's appointment. Somalia's new president, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, on Wednesday picked a member of the lower house of parliament, Hamza Abdi Barre, as the new prime minister. I have based on my decision after assessing the knowledge, experience, capability of Hamza, and I came to the conclusion he is the right person who can discharge this new responsibility in this new Somalia at this new time, he said at the presidential palace. He asked lawmakers to approve the new prime minister quickly and said he had asked Barre to advance the key priorities of the new government, including security, drought response, reconciliation, community development and climate shock response. For straight failed rainy seasons and high inflation have left millions of Somalis grappling with food insecurity. Barre said he would form a competent government capable of rescuing the country and the people. I pledge to you as president and to the Somali people that I will work day and night and will stand up in discharging my obligation, he said. Barre, 48, was elected to parliament for the first time in December. Previously he was the chair of the Jubaland Regional Electoral Commission. Barre served as Secretary General of Mohammed's Peace and Development Party from 2011 to 2017. He is also a former senior advisor to the Ministry of Constitution Affairs and Federal Government. He spent many years as an educator in Mogadishu and Kismayo. He is co-founder of Kismayo University and a senior lecturer at Mogadishu University. Barre's appointment came exactly a month after Mohammed was elected president, defeating Mohammed Abdullahi Mohammed in a parliamentary vote. Caretaking Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Roble will hand over the office to Barre if Parliament approves his appointment. Reer Abdul is a Somalian subclan of the larger Mohammed Zubair clan, which is in turn part of Ogaden clan. They primarily inhabit the Korahi zone and Fik zone in Ogaden region and Kismayo. Ethiopian families struggle to survive amid record drought. UNHCR is supporting local authorities in the Somali region of Ethiopia to provide urgent aid to thousands forced to leave in search of water during worst drought for 40 years. Ardo emerges from her shelter when she hears a truck delivering water, after several days of her and her livestock going without. Around 500 internally displaced families are living at the makeshift Maragaho site in Kebrabia, Ethiopia's Somali region, after fleeing their homes in search of water during the worst drought in decades. "We have never seen drought like this, it has affected everyone. We have named it the unseen," said Ardo. Ardo walked about 260 kilometers from her village Kaptanag in the Korahi zone, deep in the eastern Somali region of Ethiopia, to reach Kebrabia, a small township some 53 kilometers from the region's capital, Jijjiga. The mother of four says she traveled with a group of people from her village. "I can't count the number of people that were displaced with us," she said. Nearly everyone in the village had left. Ardo, like most of those now living in the Maragaho site, embarked on a risky and exhausting journey in search of water and pasture for her livestock. "It was such a long journey, our cattle suffered horribly," she added. "No one was willing to buy our livestock since they were extremely weak," she said. Ethiopia. Dire needs for displaced Ethiopians in the Somali region as droughts continue. Ardo, a mother of four, sits inside her makeshift shelter in Maragaho displacement site in Ethiopia's Somali region. Abdullahi Gadi, a 55-year-old pastoralist also displaced to Maragaho, gathered his cattle, goats and sheep, and left his village, Kaptanag in East Somali region. However, the arid conditions along the route were too much for his animals, with less than half making it to the Babakata El Bahai IDP site in Jijjiga where he is currently living. "Except these three, all of my other cows have died," he said, pointing to the emaciated livestock next to him. "I also used to have 445 goats and sheep, but now I only have 190 as the rest have died," he added. Ethiopia is experiencing one of the most severe La Niña-induced droughts in the last 40 years, following 4 consecutive failed rainy seasons since late 2020. The drought is compounding a complex situation in the Somali region of Ethiopia that was already host to millions of internally displaced people, including those forced to flee because of conflict, as well as some 246,000 refugees from neighboring Somalia in 8 camps, which have already received some 16,000 new arrivals. Other drought-affected regions in the country include Afar, Oromia and the Southern Nations, Nationalities, and Peoples, SNNP. Since September 2021, UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, has worked with local communities, regional disaster management offices and other partners to deliver water, shelter, warm clothes and household items to more than 7,200 drought-affected households in different IDP sites and host communities. See also, UNHCR appeals for life-saving aid for millions affected by catastrophic Horn of Africa drought. However, as the drought worsens, people's needs continue to rise. The most pressing issue here is a lack of water, as well as effective water management, says Abdullahi Sheikbari, field associate in UNHCR's office in Jijjiga. "The assistance we have been able to provide is far below what is needed to meet the survival needs of the affected people. Together with the authorities and partners, we will continue to help make sure that those displaced have water, shelter, and basic relief items and provide transportation for those who choose to return to their homes with their livestock." Facing a long and uncertain journey with little food or water, Abdullahi Gadi was forced to leave his wife and 7 children behind in their village. He has not heard from his family in the 100 days since he arrived in the Maragaho IDP site. "I don't know what happened to them and to the others from my village who stayed, children, women, the old, and other vulnerable people, he said. Ethiopia. Dire needs for displaced Ethiopians in the Somali region as droughts continue. Internally displaced pastoralist Abdullahi Gadi, 55, stands next to the remains of his dead animals in Babakata Elbahay IDP site in Jijiga. Copyright UNHCR/Eugene Sabamana. Despite the perilous journey, Abdullahi, like many other IDPs hosted at several sites in the Somali region, told UNHCR he received a generous welcome from the local community, even though they themselves were struggling to cope with the effects of the drought. The farmers who took in the displaced pastoralists shared their limited pasture with the IDPs. In Ethiopia, UNHCR and other humanitarian partners are scaling up assistance to meet the rising needs, in support of the government of Ethiopia. Moreover, joint efforts have been undertaken within the UN Resilience Framework to support Ethiopia in building resilience against natural hazards, particularly recurrent droughts and floods. In the Somali region, humanitarian partners are supporting more than 2.4 million displaced people with food and working to deliver clean water to more than 859,000 people still in need. However, existing needs continue to surpass available resources. UNHCR is seeking $22 million to deliver critical aid to over 1 million refugees, internally displaced people and their host communities affected by the drought in Ethiopia, part of a wider $42.6 million drought response appeal including Somalia and Kenya.